2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, the 2nd of February, and it's Groundhog Day.
In 3, 2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, the 2nd of February, and it's Groundhog Day. And a big happy birthday to David Jason, Shakira, Brent Spiner, and Christine Bleak. Boris headed off on a day trip to the Ukraine on Tuesday, leaving chaos in his wake after the partial release of the Sue Gray report. The Met Police continue their investigation into the Tory party parties, but they're not intending to name any staff who received fixed penalty notices. There are also new allegations about a 2021 lockdown party. Whatever the outcome of the investigation, Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer says Boris's time is up.
It's no good him trying to blame politicians in general. I genuinely think now that it's in the national interest that he goes and we can all focus on the things like energy bills, what's happening in Ukraine, and get on with the job.
Keir also had words for Boris after the misleading and debunked accusation that the Prime Minister threw at the Labour leader on Monday, suggesting a failure to prosecute the notorious alleged sex offender Jimmy Savile.
It is a ridiculous slur peddled by right-wing trolls. The disgust, and this is where I saw the faces of the Conservative MPs, the disgust on their faces that their Prime Minister was debasing himself by sinking so low in the chamber was clear.
The remarks have prompted complaints from Savile's victims and condemnation from almost every corner of the Commons. Well, except for Dominic out-of-office Raab, who didn't agree with it but didn't apologise either.
No, I can't substantiate that.
Why do you think the Prime Minister said it then? It's a bold claim to make and it's being refuted quite easily everywhere.
These things are part of the cut and thrust in the crucible of the House of Commons chamber, particularly when the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition go at each other hammer and tongs.
Boris was doing his best to look busy on Tuesday. He hopped on a plane to the Ukraine in a bid to show support for the embattled Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He started with some awkward small talk, or maybe he was just checking out a new party location.
It's considerably bigger than that. Yeah, what's building during 5 minutes. It's fantastic. So you did? No. You just got here something. Just for me,
And as Vladimir Putin ratcheted up tension again, accusing the US and NATO of using the Ukraine to constrain Russian development and of playing the Russians, Boris was speaking in Kiev.
A further Russian invasion of Ukraine would be a political disaster, a humanitarian disaster. In my view, it would also be a military disaster as well. And the potential invasion completely flies in the face of President Putin's claims to be acting in the interests of the Ukrainian people.
The normally peaceful Canadian political landscape has been disrupted by a wave of increasingly law-breaking protests and a blockade of the Canadian capital. The protest began with a freedom convoy of truckers protesting Canadian vaccine mandates, but it's devolved into a blockade of downtown Ottawa and accusations of criminal damage as anti-vax protesters swarm the city. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is isolating after he and his family tested positive for COVID, but he sent a strong message on Tuesday.
I have also chosen to not go anywhere near protests that have expressed hateful rhetoric, violence towards fellow citizens, and a disrespect not just of science, but of the frontline health workers and, quite frankly, the 90% of truckers who have been doing the right thing to keep Canadians safe, to put food on our tables.
Whoopi Goldberg found herself in hot water after a segment on daily talk show The View came off the rails. While discussing a Tennessee school board who've banned an anti-Holocaust novel, she made a serious error. Strong protests followed and she quickly corrected herself and apologised.
I said that the Holocaust wasn't about race, and it was instead about man's inhumanity to man. But it is indeed about race, because Hitler and the Nazis considered Jews to be an inferior race. Now, words matter, and mine are no exception. I regret my comments, as I said, and I stand corrected. I also stand with the Jewish people, as they know.
She's now been suspended for 2 weeks by network ABC.
Still to come on the Smart 7, an American legend retires and Lego Batman meets his biggest fan. Right after this. Welcome back.
Tuesday saw the retirement of arguably the greatest American footballer of all time and maybe even the greatest American sportsman. Tom Brady was a quarterback for the New England Patriots and more recently the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and won the Super Bowl with both. Demetria Oberlaw, host of our new US sports podcast, The Sporting News 7, looks back at Brady's incredible career.
7 seconds, Brady to throw, those are deep passes.
Tom Brady was an NFL player for 22 years. But it wasn't just his length of service, it was his consistent brilliance, which will see him recognized as the best quarterback to ever play the game. He played in 10 Super Bowls, winning 7 of them. In 5 of those, he was named Most Valuable Player and is the only player ever to be MVP in the Super Bowl for 2 different teams. His 20 years of the Patriots will be remembered as a time of dominance. But to leave such a successful setup and do it all again at the Buccaneers is a true sign of Brady's greatness.
You've probably seen distinctive tweets with yellow and green squares, or maybe you've played the strangely addictive game online. It's called Wordle, and it's sort of a 5-letter word version of Hangman. It was created by Welsh software engineer Josh Wardle as a gift for his bored girlfriend Palak Shah. Then he released it to the world in October, and now millions play it daily, maybe as much as 14% of US adults. Now the New York Times has swooped in and bought it for a low 7-figure sum, but Josh says he's working to make sure it stays free to play. Countdown star Susie Dent weighed in on the future of the game.
I hope that the New York Times won't put it behind a paywall, but then the question is, will there be lots of clones? I don't blame Josh Wardle at all for getting a reward for it. Hopefully, it will remain, hopefully on the web anyway, and free for as long as it can.
He starred in Arrested Development, played washed-up cartoon horse BoJack Horseman, and has a new Netflix series called Murderville on the way. He is, of course, Will Arnett, but it's probably his work as Lego Batman that led to 8-year-old Ellie Palumbo becoming a superfan. Jimmy Kimmel introduced the fan to the star, and she told him all about her Will Arnett-themed birthday party.
Ellie, do your friends like Will Arnett also?
Well, some people don't know about him.
Right. If they knew him, they would love him, yeah.
Well, you know how they will know about me, Ellie? You're going to do this every year for the rest of your life.
This has been The Smart 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great day.
Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.